Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming a very exciting video, and that is going to be the best books that I've read in 2020 so far. Excited to be doing this video again. I like to do kind of a wrap up of like the midway through the year of like what are the best books that I've read so far this year, and it's already July, so I can't even believe that. And so far this year, I've read a total of 71 books. I have quite a bit of books to choose from, and I'm going to be showing you the top 13 books that I've read so far in 2020. Before we do jump into the top 13 books though, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Skillshare has classes for everyone that can inspire you to learn something new. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes. At a time when so many important conversations are happening in our world, your voice is more essential than ever. Explore classes to unlock your creativity for social good. And I have personally been recently taking this class called Instagram Poetry, Create Personal Visual Vignettes for Self-Expression, taught by Allison Malley. And this class has been really great for me because I really miss taking my creative writing classes in college, and I feel like this has been a great similar type of feel to that kind of thing if you're looking for that. I was an English major when I was going to college, so I love just being able to sit down and learn some new creative writing skills, and this class is perfect to help you express your creativity through poetry. And I've recently been really fascinated by Instagram poetry specifically, so I love the fact that Skillshare has an entire class dedicated to that specific kind of writing. But if that doesn't interest you, of course, they offer classes into so many different creative subjects like writing, graphic design, photography, the list goes on, and it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. So the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2 free month trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity as well. I've had a really wonderful time exploring my creativity with Skillshare this year, and you can too when you use the link in my description. And thank you so much to Skillshare for supporting this channel and for supporting the booktube community. So without further ado, let's just jump into the best books that I've read so far in 2020. Do you want to guess the first one that I'm going to show? Because you can guess, you're probably right. First one is going to be The Troop by Nick Cutter, because this is a horror novel that I read in April, and it really just inspired something in me. Like now, ever since I've read this book, I just want to read everything horror, and this book just ignited a passion for horror in me that I didn't know was buried somewhere inside of me. Scary, crazy horror novel. I don't know if during a pandemic would be the best time to read this book because like low-key it's like whoa, but I personally read it during the pandemic and I thought it just added to the terror of it for me. But this is a story that follows this group of boys who are all a part of this troop, and they're in the Canadian wilderness on this island when this man pulls up onto the island on a boat. He's saying that he's so hungry and that he's asking them to feed him, and he's like shoveling dirt into his mouth and acting all kinds of weird. If you've ever had a fear of something like moving under your skin, then this book will definitely terrify you, I think, because it definitely terrified me. And this book definitely had some like Lord of the Flies vibes to it. I don't know, I just freaking loved this. It was just everything I needed, and I was so scared of this book. Another one of my favorite horror novels that I've read this year is Bunny by Mona Awad, and this book also completely took me by surprise. And I don't even know how to explain to you what it's about, but it's basically like Mean Girls if it was written by Stephen King. Like that's like the only way I know how to describe the vibe of this book. It follows this girl named Samantha who's going to college on this campus, and she gets involved with this group of girls who all call each other Bunny. They're kind of like this weird cult, and she gets involved with some crazy shenanigans with these girls, and it's super weird, and I love it so much. Speaking of Stephen King, I've been reading a lot of Stephen King this year. I've been trying to do a Stephen King reading vlog once a month, and my favorite that I've read so far this year by far is 11/22/63. This book made me bawl my eyes out, which I did not expect. I did not even think I was that emotionally invested into the story until that ending hit. But if you didn't know anything about this book, it basically follows this guy who's a teacher, and he's going to be going back in time to try and prevent the assassination of JFK. And this book is massive. It's over 800 pages, but honestly, it was such an experience reading this book, and I just got so attached to the characters. I love Sadie with my whole entire heart. I can link my reading vlog if you missed it, but oh my gosh, it was a time. But this is definitely one of my favorite Stephen King's. I still think Pet Sematary is my #1 favorite, but then this one might be my second. I also finally got around to reading the classic Little Women this year, and this has easily become one of my all-time favorite books because Jo March is one of the most relatable characters that I've ever read about, and I don't know why the hell it took me this long to read Little Women. I personally love stories that revolve around sisters, and sister relationships is one of my favorite things to read about. And Jo March is a writer, and she's just very passionate about everything that she does. She cares so much about her family, and the fact that she just doesn't really care a whole lot about romance and relationships. Like, she's just the most relatable character ever for me, so I love this book. I adore it so hard. And I also did a reading vlog just for this book this year as well, which I can also link down below. Another one of my absolute top favorite books that I've read this year that I don't have my copy of right now because I'm lending it to my mom is The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain. Time travel, historical fiction type of book, and it follows this girl named Carly who is living in the 1970s, and she's pregnant, but she finds out that the baby that she's about to give birth to will not survive because it's going to be born with a heart condition that's going to kill it almost instantly. She finds out that her brother-in-law is from the future, and he's going to help her by sending her to the year 2001, where they have advanced technology enough that they can save her baby. I really love reading about mother-daughter relationships in books as well, so this was definitely catered to my reading taste. And oh my gosh, I just felt so much for the main character Carly throughout this book. Like, some of the decisions she has to make and go through in this book were just impossible decisions, and oh my gosh, there were just so many plot twists within this story. And I love like time travel kind of stuff, and like the way the time travel was explained, it was just so cool. And wow, I just felt all of the feelings for this book, and I just loved it so much. All right, the next 6 books that I'm going to mention are all thrillers that I've really enjoyed. The first one is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Who's surprised? Nobody. This one is kind of thriller slash horror as well. It definitely has these horror vibes because it's about this girl Maggie who grew up in this house where her dad wrote a book about the house called House of Horrors, and then in alternate chapters we get the dad's actual book House of Horrors, and then in the alternate chapters we get Maggie's chapters as an adult when she's inheriting the house because her dad recently died, and she's going back to the house, and she's starting to feel like maybe her dad wasn't so crazy because she never believed in any of the stuff that he wrote about in the book, and she never believed any of it actually happened. This book is so much fun. It's a thriller that kind of takes place in a haunted house, and it's just so much fun. And then next up we have The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which this is just, oh my gosh, this one's probably in my top 3 favorites of the year so far. Like, I absolutely love this thriller. This book is like a classic whodunit mystery because we follow 6 different points of views in this book. It's all characters that are part of this wedding party, and it all takes place on one day, on the wedding day. And it takes place on this remote island in Ireland that is very spooky and stormy, and the vibes of this book are just it's very like Knives Out, you know. It's like there's so many characters and they all have a motivation to kill this one person, but you don't know who the person that they killed is at the beginning of the book, and you spend so much of the book trying to figure that out. And then once you do know, every character has motivation to kill this person. It's just so entertaining to read about, and the atmosphere of this book is just so like spooky and island vibes. Oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I had such a fun time reading this book. Like, it was such an easy 5 out of 5 for me. And then I have Long Bright River by Liz Moore, which this is a book that I've actually already read twice this year. Like, I don't even know. I read this physically in January, and then I listened to the audiobook again in May just because I love this book so much, and I can't even really explain what it is about this book that I love so much. This one is considered a thriller, but I would personally describe this more as like literary fiction slash mystery, but it's like a slow burning mystery. And this one follows this female police officer who's working in Philadelphia where the opioids crisis is getting out of control, and her sister is a drug addict who's like living on the streets. There's a lot of different crimes against women in the area recently, and she is concerned because her sister has seemed to have gone missing, and she can't find her sister, she can't get a hold of her sister. So this entire book is kind of about her trying to find her sister and trying to figure out what happened to her. And you know, as I just mentioned, I love stories that follow sister relationships, and this one is especially complicated, I feel like. And I don't know, there's just something about about the vibe of this book that I just really enjoy. And then we have the book What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I did an entire reading vlog dedicated to this book as well, and I just had such a fun time reading this book. I was completely shocked by literally everything in this book. I feel like at the end of every chapter there was like a mini plot twist, and this one follows these two characters, Maggie and Nina, and when you find out like what's happening between them, it's just like, what? And then we have He Started It by Samantha Downing. This book's finally coming out this month in July, and this book was just so much fun. I'm usually not a fan of like road trip books, but for some reason it just really worked in this one, because in this book we're following these three siblings who are going on a cross-country road trip to get their grandpa's inheritance money, because their grandpa just recently died, and they're repeating the same trip that they took when they were kids. And so in this book we get flashback chapters, like every alternate chapter is like the chapter of when they were kids on this road trip and what happened when they were kids, and then we get the present day chapters of them being on the road on the way, but then there's like people following them in the car, and there's just like all this drama. I feel like this is another one of those books where you can't trust any characters, and it kind of reminds me of Knives Out, just because of like the sibling relationships and the way they're trying to get their inheritance money and they don't care about anybody else. And then the last thriller that I have on this list is A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight, and this one is also one that completely surprised me, because I don't usually gravitate towards legal thrillers, and this one follows this girl who's a lawyer, and she gets a phone call from this guy that she used to go to law school with, and he's asking her if she can represent him as his lawyer, because he's being accused of killing his wife, because they found his wife's body at the bottom of the stairs and it looks like he pushed her. And so in alternating chapters of this book we follow this girl Lizzie, who's the lawyer going to be working for this guy, and then in alternate chapters we follow Amanda, which is the girl, like the wife that died but 6 days before her death. Amanda's chapters from when before she died, they totally remind me kind of like a Big Little Lies. It was very like small town mom vibes, like they were all had like toxic friendships, and like I don't know, it was great. Then the last two books on this list are the only romances that I've really enjoyed this entire year, and that is Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert and Take a Hint Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. These are both part of a series. This is the first book and this is the second book, and the third book is expected to come out next spring, I believe. Oh my gosh, dude, these books just like reignited my love for romance. Like I thought it had been gone for this whole year. I just haven't really been in the mood for romance, and I haven't been enjoying any of the romance that I've been reading. These books were like a breath of fresh air, and they were just so good and so cute. And Chloe and Danny have both become two of my favorite female characters to ever exist, because they're just so sarcastic and funny, but also like relatable and cool, and I just love them. And in both of these books their love interests are just so soft. And in Get a Life Chloe Brown, we're following this girl Chloe Brown, who is this black British girl, but she also suffers from chronic pain and chronic illness. She experiences a near-death experience almost at the start of this book, and she's upset because she didn't have any life that flashed before her eyes when she was about to die. So she decides to make a list of all of these things that are going to help her get a life. To help her get through this list, she becomes friends with the building's superintendent, Red, and he is going to kind of help her complete some of the things on her list. And this book is just so cute, and I feel like I liked Take a Hint Danny Brown even more, just because I personally feel like I related even more to Danny's character because of her fear of relationships and her like want to be single and independent and putting her family and her career before her love life. And she's an English professor at a college, which like, she's so cool. And there's fake dating in this book. This book is just a whole lot of fun. Like they're both fun, but like, oh my god, I just loved these books so much, and Talia Hibbert's writing is just so great. So yeah, those are all of the best books that I've read in 2020 so far. Even though 2020 has been a pretty shitty year so far, I feel like at least my reading has still been pretty consistently good. I feel like every month has just been like a hit or miss for me as far as reading goes, but I feel like I've truly found some really incredible books this year that I'm so grateful for, and I've definitely discovered some new all-time favorites. Please let me know what your thoughts are on any of these books that I mentioned, and also let me know what are some of your favorite books of 2020 so far. I have so many books that I'm looking forward to in the second half of 2020. It's not even real. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye.